graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Ritualistic Podcast. I'm your host Dave, and things are about to get ritualistic. In the early 1960s, self-proclaimed Inca prophets Santos and Quintana Hernandez built a cult around the eastern Mexican village of Yerba Buena. The mostly illiterate, poverty-stricken locals were forced to hand over their money, forced into stacks, and fed tales of Inca treasures in the mountains and caves surrounding the village by the brothers who were ignorant of the fact that the Inca were Peruvian and not Mexican. The villagers began to become wary after months of forced sex and twisted tales they were told by the brothers. Fearing dissent, the brothers needed something to stop the villagers from exposing them for the frauds that they were, so they hatched a plan to find some sex workers willing to assist them in their ruse. Magdalena Solis was born in the 1930s in Ciudad Victoria, Tamaulipas, in northeast Mexico, and grew up in a broken home. Stricken with poverty, there was not much hope in northeast Mexico. Needing to make ends meet, Magdalena and her brother Eleazar took to the streets at a young age and began sex work. Sex work was an easy way to make money, and in 1963 brought them into contact with the Hernandez brothers, who convinced them to travel to Yerba Buena and join them in their sex slave cult scam. Introducing a naked Magdalena to the cult in a smoke and mirrors ritual in the caves surrounding Yerba Buena, the brothers were able to convince their followers that she was the reincarnation of an Aztec goddess Coatlicue, the goddess who gave birth to the moon, stars, and the god of the sun and war, Huitzilopochtli. Not only were their followers convinced, but Magdalena grew delusional and came to the belief that she really was the goddess reincarnate. It didn't take long before Magdalena became the high priestess leading the cult, and under her leadership, rituals became more and more extreme, involving sexual slavery and abuse, drugs such as marijuana and peyote, and ritual sadomasochistic sex orgies. As the rituals became more and more extreme, followers started to question Solis and the abuse under her leadership, and made some attempts to leave. This led to the lynching of the first two victims by the cult. No longer satisfied with the sex orgies and animal sacrifice, Solis demanded human blood, and devised a new so-called blood ritual, a ritual sacrifice of a cult member. This involved the ritual sacrifice of an animal, usually a chicken, and then a human dissident would be brutally beaten, stabbed, burned alive, and in their last moments were drained of their blood, resulting in their death. The victim's blood was then mixed with marijuana or peyote and the animal blood, and consumed by Magdalena and her high priests Santos, Quintana, and Eleazar Solis, and the remaining concoction was consumed by their followers. Solis had convinced the followers that this ritual would keep them youthful and help them live longer. Weeks of this ritual was not enough for Solis, with the ritual escalating further to the cult members also consuming the heart and body parts of the sacrificed, sometimes while they were still alive. The high priest went without challenge, with Jesus Rubio wanting to join the inner circle for protection, but rebuffed. Although a challenger, he remained with the cult and partook in further rituals. Experts believe that ritual human sacrifice was actually practiced by Inca and other pre-Columbian Central and South American civilizations. The blood sacrifices were often performed to appease deities for a number of reasons, including successful crops and bringing of rain. One evening, in May 1963, Sebastian Guerrero, an inquisitive teenager, was exploring the mountains and noticed something weird. One of the caves was emitting light. As he investigated further, he saw one of the rituals take place. After seeing the cult members drinking the blood, he ran, and he kept running to Villa Gran, which was the nearest town with law enforcement. Initially, the police did not believe the story they were being told about vampires and rituals. However, investigator Luis Martinez met with Sebastian the next morning and took him back to Yerba Buena. The pair went into the mountains to find the cave, where the ritual was witnessed. What happened next, however, is uncertain, as the pair went missing. The police grew suspicious after Luis and Sebastian went missing, and on May 31st, the police, now convinced there was something going on in the caves, with the help of military, went to investigate. In the search of the town, police found the mutilated bodies of Luis Martinez, whose heart had been ripped from his body, and Sebastian Guerrero on a farm, and upon investigation located Magdalena and Elazar, who were arrested. Police also located large amounts of marijuana. Gaetano Hernandez was murdered by Jesus Rubio, still bitter over being rebuffed by the high priests. Santos Hernandez was shot by police while resisting arrest and died. A large number of cult members had fled the town, barricaded themselves inside the caves. As the police approached, the shootout ensued, and a number of cult members were killed. Police searched the caves and located the dismembered remains of 6 of the sacrificed cult members. At the trial, cult members refused to testify, and the 6 cave murders could not be proven to have been committed by or under the orders of the cult leaders. Many members of the cult still remain quiet, with only a few coming forward with information after many years. The official victim count was 8. However, the actual body count is now believed to be 15 or more. In June 1963, Magdalena and Elazar were sentenced to 50 years each for the murders of Martinez and Guerrero. It is believed that Magdalena was released, but no one is sure of the whereabouts of the High Priestess of Blood. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review us on iTunes or Stitcher. This helps us to be found by other listeners. If you wish to stay up to date with the podcast, please follow us on social media @RitualisticPod on Instagram, @RitualisticP on Twitter, or search for Ritualistic Podcast on Facebook. If you wish to send through constructive feedback or make a show suggestion, please email ritualisticpod@gmail.com. I'm Dave. This has been Ritualistic Podcast. Stay safe, stay awesome, stay tuned, and see you next time.